Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. In this video we will discuss China's refusal to bend the knee to Trump's demands. Therefore, they are just brushing off Trump's tariff threat. Why? Because they spoke with the Indians, they spoke with the Russians, and they said, we are marching. Therefore, we don't break the line. That's the first topic. The second topic, Israel announced that they will eventually take over the city of Gaza, the capital of the Gaza enclave. So Gaza City. And Israel will take over anything they can, and they're allowed. And they are allowed because they have nuclear weapons and because they owned this country and a few more in the West. That's the second topic, and that sparks global condemnation. Blah, 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 blah. You can condemn me how much you want. If I stole the billions of dollars, you can condemn me until I die, the day I die. I don't give a fuck. I keep the billions, okay? Just so you know. That's why when you hear, the world condemns Israel, the dogs are barking, the caravan keeps rolling. And the third topic has to do with what I've been saying for so long. The United States of America tries to cause problems in the Caucasus, with Azerbaijan now and Armenia fast under the US control. And I will discuss about the Zangezur Plan, which was the Russian plan, the BRICS plan for an international transport route from Iran to the Caucasus up into the Russia. And the Americans somehow succeeded, just like this, to get both the Prime Minister of Armenia and the President of Azerbaijan to Washington, D.C. to sign a peace agreement by which the United States of America takes control of the Zangezur area, which is, as I said, a north-south corridor on the Caucasus that allow BRICS to do business with the Middle East on the route being obviously a land route. And we're going to discuss that thing. Why? Because we're going to discuss what that means, what was the north-south transport corridor, and what are the consequences. And I would suspect that that would be a next Ukraine. The Russians will never agree to that corridor to be owned by the Americans. And it is, with the agreement from the people of Armenia and Azerbaijan. That's very dangerous. That's very dangerous. Let's go with the first article. Russia Today, 9th of August. Beijing brushes off Trump's tariff threat. China will continue to pursue its own interest in international trade, the country's foreign ministry has said. The Chinese foreign ministry has dismissed U.S. threats of additional trade tariffs over its purchases of Russian oil. You have no legality to impose any sanctions on me, on my free trade, saying Beijing will continue to act in line with its national interest. That means your next move, I want to hear and see it. U.S. Donald Trump, president, has targeted major buyers of Russian crude, including India and China, claiming such trades help sustain the conflict in Ukraine. But the American weapons in Ukraine don't help sustain the conflict in Ukraine whatsoever. His administration has also promoted tariffs as a way to counter what it considers unfair trade practices by other countries. Foreign Ministry spokesman Guo Jiakun said Friday that Beijing partnership with Moscow remains consistent and clear. End quote. It is legitimate and lawful for China to engage in economic, trade, and energy cooperation with other countries, including Russia. He told reporters at a regular briefing, and I'm quoting again, "We will continue to take energy supply measures that are right for China based on our national interest." India has also rejected Washington tariffs pressure, calling it unfair, unjustified, and unreasonable. Brazil, another major economy hit by US tariffs, has criticized the measures as well. Trump has linked his late July move against Brazil to the prosecution of former President Jair Bolsonaro. I thought that interference in other people's domestic affairs is a no-no. If it's okay for the Americans to interfere everywhere, then everywhere is allowed to interfere in the Americans' domestic issues or affairs. Who is accused of plotting to overthrow his successor, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Brazil, China, India, and Russia are the founding members of the BRICS, a group of large non-Western economy. Trump has accused the organization of trying to undermine the US dollar's role as the global reserve currency. Well, the global reserve currency should be agreed based on its performance, not on how strong I can punch you in the face, and has threatened to introduce punitive tariffs against its members. So if the dollar used to be, a currency, it was an agreement. It was okayed. It was agreed by other countries to have the US dollar, but it served its purpose. Now these guys want to cling to it because it's a way of controlling other countries. That's the whole purpose of that. Otherwise, you would like free competition and fair competition. But all of a sudden, this guy says, no, you can't. This must stay like that, regardless if you like it or not. Therefore, you're very free. All right, that's the first one. Obviously, the Chinese, these guys are going to be marching, and the Americans have to bow down. The problem is the Americans will not lay down their weapons, which is they're going to take care of Zangezur Plan. I will show you. But in the meantime, let me show you how a caravan moves and the dogs are barking, and the caravan is Israel. Why is allowed to? Why? It owns countries and it owns nuclear weapons. Russia Today. Israel's Gaza City plan sparks global condemnation and domestic protest. West Jerusalem has approved seizing the capital of the enclave, triggering widespread criticisms over its potential consequences. Without actions, words mean nothing, my friends. Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu and his security cabinet approved a new plan on Friday on concluding the war with the Palestinian military group Hamas in Gaza, which has been dragging on for nearly 2 years. Was allowed to by the Americans. They could have been ended very quick. The plan involves the capture of Gaza City in the north of the Strip, one of the few areas of the Palestinian enclave that the IDF does not control by Israeli security. Its governance will be handed over to unspecified Arab forces. By whom? So if I have the power to hand it to you, that means I can take it back. So it tells me that I'm in charge. Since when? Well, this. All right? So unspecified Arab forces. Gaza will be razed. Palestinians will be sent abroad, and the beautiful Jewish state will decide who's coming back to work on Trump's hotels. That's what's going to happen. And Gaza will be not rebuilt. It's going to be flattened, excavated, and rebuilt from zero into, the Mediterranean Riviera, as Trump said it. That's what's going to happen. There will be no Palestinians there. They will voluntarily being catapulted across somewhere else. All right? So again, UN gravely alarmed by Israeli move. That means nothing. Palestinian functions united against occupation plan. Zero. West urges restraint. These guys are already penetrating it for about 1,000 pumps already, and these guys say restraint. Don't go 2 million times. Just go 1. All right, this is occupation plan faces domestic backlash, some protests, and I tell you what's going to happen. Nothing. They will succeed in whatever they want to do. I said this when all this garbage started over there. I'm talking about after October 7th, right? I said they will fulfill everything. Why? Because the United States of America will say like this. Will say, yes, sir, stay over there. Whoever comes closer, I'm going to bing, 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 bing. And everybody's like, okay. So that's how things are solved over there. Whatever those guys want, that will happen. It's not going to be pushed back only by some Palestinians who will be pushed. So let's go with Mr. Zangezur Plan. Sputnik. Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Turkiye will lose from US Zangezur Plan. So Zangezur Plan, let's go right here. All right, here it is. Zangezur, the international north-south transport corridor developed by Russia and its BRICS partners. The US seeks to control over the Caucasus, to create Western-controlled trade and energy routes between Central Asia and Turkiye, bypassing Russia and Iran. Isolating Russia from Iran, there you go, my friends. That's why, and let me show you a map. So here, these are the Caucasus between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, exactly here. All right. So obviously here is Iran, all right, and then you have India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Trabalapa. So here it is. Then you have the Middle East here. You have Iraq and Saudi Arabia, the Persian Gulf, and so on. So this is the area we're talking about. This is the Caucasus between Black Sea and Caspian Sea. So Azerbaijan and Armenia are in between, and Turkey, and you have here the Caspian Sea. So the only thing the Russians can do is go by boat right there if you want to hit Tehran. Otherwise, this way is not going to happen. Azerbaijan and Armenia block it, and then Turkey right here. So it's going to be blocked. Georgia is right here. They couldn't take over Georgia, but somehow as an order, they took over Armenia and Azerbaijan right here. Very, very interesting. And north here is obviously Russia. Russia is right in the north. All right, so now you understand what's going on over there if you didn't know already. So it says Russia and Iran currently have two main routes for communication through the Caucasus. Iran, Armenia, Georgia, Russia. Iran, Azerbaijan, Russia, which is again, one is through Georgia. So Russia, Georgia, Armenia, Iran. The other guy is Russia, Azerbaijan, Iran. Like that. Pak. Now the Americans, let's see what these guys are doing. The transfer of control over the Zangezur corridor to the United States is a betrayal towards both Russia and Armenian people by Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan. He is an MI6, I suspect very much. All right, Armenian sovereignty under threat. Well, it wasn't under threat when it was owned or controlled by the Russians. I'm just trying to, okay? And I'm quoting, the Americans are now trying to take control of the trade routes everywhere, including pushing into the South Caucasus, right on the doorstep of Russia and Iran. Ceding territory to foreign powers could lead to a complete loss of Armenian sovereignty, it's already lost, and a further decline in living standards. Well, I know you don't like it, but what are you going to do? Armenia is already losing sovereignty due to its unequal ties with the West, unlikely what was in Azerbaijan-Armenia peace plan, the one that was in front of Trump. The original Karabakh ceasefire agreement included all steps for resolving issues between Azerbaijan and Armenia, including the opening of the Zangezur corridor, brokered by what? By the Russians? The key condition was that the corridor would be controlled by the Russian border guards. Now Armenia is being fully subjugated by the West. Well, I think so. How will Russia respond? I don't think it's going to respond now. It's going to respond later. Let it go for now. But later, I guarantee you, he's not going to allow that to happen unless United States of America and the Russians reach a deal to somehow be okay with that. If the relationship between the Americans and the Russians improve to a partnership, not friendship, partnership. That's all. That means, hey, we are the strongest here. We're going to rip everybody off. Okay, deal. Boop, boop, boop. That's it. Not alliances and so on. With the help of China and all that. That means the big boy, which is the United States of America, could be able to share. Not share because it's nice. It was made to share because of the BRICS opposition not being able to destroy Russia in Ukraine. Therefore, it reached its limitations. And beyond that, they don't want to step in that kind of nuclear confrontation. So, that's it. The Russians will get on the Caucasus later. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. Now, if you think that Azerbaijan soured its relationship with Russia because of that downed liner aircraft that was shot down by the Russians under a Ukrainian drone attack, no. More crimes did not create panic and soured relationships between other countries. Look at Nord Stream pipelines. Germany is still under America's serviability, still there. And who blew up Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 pipelines? We all know who did it. So that's much bigger than an airliner. I'm not minimizing the death of people. I'm just saying for these guys, 100 people. Anyway, stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.